It's been a chaotic few days for the Philadelphia Eagles, and there have been plenty of moves along the way. Most recently, Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson joined those players exiled from the Novacare complex this offseason, but as we all know, this is in a bid to get the Eagles under the salary cap. As things stand tonight, they're around $37 million over the cap with the Carson Wentz trade and, of course, with the departure of Deshaun Jackson. So what more do the Eagles need to do? It's actually one of the questions I have been most asked ever since this video I put up a couple of months ago. You guys have wanted updates, and it didn't really make sense to do one until the big elephant in the room had been moved. And now that Carson Wentz is out of the building and we know where we're at, we know what the Eagles have to do to get under that $30 million. So here are the moves I would make to get the Eagles under the cap. Always, guys, if you do enjoy this video, it would be amazing if you could hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for all of your support. There will be so much coming in the next few months, from free agency film rooms to draft breakdowns, mock drafts, and much more. So buckle up, hit that subscribe button, and let's have some fun this offseason. An offseason that has ultimately been very stressful so far. The first thing we have to note is that Alshon Jeffrey is not alone in how he's been handled this offseason. Malik Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey both took contract restructures to make their deals more tradable, more disposable, to get them out of the building a bit quicker and into a better scenario for both parties. Now, in doing so, each year teams are allowed to release players as a post-June 1st designation, which has a significantly different cap hit to if you do it prior to the start of the league year, where all of those bonuses and their juicy contracts get guaranteed. So previously, the value of Jackson and Jeffrey together on the cap by releasing them normally would be $8.9 million. After doing these restructures, after designating them as post-June 1st cuts, which we assume they will, we're now looking at a total of $21 million. Now, as things stand, this is a huge chunk of what the Eagles owe. That can only be seen as a good thing. Now, as for Alshon Jeffrey, I think we all know his time in Philadelphia came to an end. On the field wasn't great in 2020 and spent the first 6 weeks on the PUP list while someone else had to lose a roster spot despite the fact he clearly couldn't play. That was bizarre. And then there's all the anonymous sources and the rest of it. But when he was healthy in 2017 and 2018, he was a valuable receiver. As for Malik Jackson, I am a bit disappointed with this. I don't understand why the Eagles paid Jackson, then Hargrave 1 season later. That really didn't make much sense to me. And Jackson actually outperformed Hargrave and Fletcher Cox in those opening few games, so I think he's going to catch on. I could see him going back to Jacksonville, to be honest. I think a reunion would make sense on a cheaper contract, but who else is going to be involved here? Well, Zach Ertz is another name we should watch. As we know, the writing has been on the wall for quite some time for Zach Ertz. He's had a year where his contract negotiations broke down. His time on the field was not exceptional. You could see he was clearly debilitated mentally. He wasn't in it 100%, and at the end of the season, an emotional press conference pretty much guaranteed his exit. He got very teary-eyed and in many senses said goodbye to Philadelphia. And then there was the iconic scene of Ertz, of Wentz, and Kelsey all sat together. So by getting rid of Zach Ertz, you're going to save close to $5 million. So we take that off of the total as well. Another player we can look at that is pretty much a given here is, of course, Marquise Goodwin, the wide receiver who was acquired in a trade last year during the NFL draft. Now, is his value still a late round pick, which is what the Eagles moved to get for him? I don't think so. He's very much a trade sweetener, but he does cost around $4.3 million, which isn't good, okay? That is $4 million you can get off your roster. The guy didn't play last year. I understand he sat out for personal reasons. That is absolutely fine. The Eagles need to do what's best for their team. Moving on from him is exactly that. So $4.3 million is saved through there. So if we take the $21 million, the $4.3 and the $4.7, that leaves the Eagles roughly $13 million over the cap. So there's still a long way to go. One man is going to go a lot further in helping that, and it's Derek Barnett, who's currently on a 5th-year option, costing the team $10 million. It is a no-brainer for me. Josh Sweat is by far a better prospect, and I understand the argument for Barnett is that, oh, he's younger and he's only 24 and he's got so much. Well, that's great. He's also been in the league since 2017 and has only just learned how to do a spin move. There are flashes in the pan. It is a lot of inconsistency. It's a lot of injury. There's a lot to like. There's also a lot of reservation, and as of right now, if you're going to give Josh Sweat or Derek Barnett $10 million, anyone that says Derek Barnett, clearly does not watch football. Moving on from him at this point would make a lot of sense. That leaves the Eagles with 3.2 million left, which is a lot more manageable. They can go a lot of different ways of doing this. Do they cut depth, guys? Maybe someone like Rodney McLeod or Jalen Mills, and they just give Kayvon Wallace that opportunity. Someone like Grayland Arnold, perhaps, that opportunity. Or you be smart and you turn to high-paid guys like Lane Johnson and Brandon Brooks, who both had season-ending injuries last year, and you ask them for restructures. Much in the same way, Rodney McLeod last year, coming off of a torn ACL in 2018, was having a season of his career, had to totally lose the contract that he'd earned in the year prior, and gave up pretty much everything and had to hit reset, and he's now in a very different position with a contract of his own. The Eagles could easily get a few $1 million out of those two players combined. Fletcher Cox could very much be a, flutter your eyelids favor for sure. They may well look to Fletcher and just say, hey, you are now our highest paid player. Can you do us a solid? I would not touch Darius Slayer in a trade because I'm not a psychopath. And I understand there are some reservations around Jason Kelce and whether he's going to play next year, whether he's going to retire. That's not our decision. We don't know what Jason Kelce is going to do. What I do know, though, is that if he's playing, he's absolutely one of the best centers in the league. He's absolutely staying on that team when we've got it. With a new quarterback, a new offense, new coaches, that's the leader you want. If Kelce's playing, Kelce's staying. He is not going anywhere. So for me, I really do think that the Eagles can get around this very easily. It's getting rid of Ertz, Goodwin, Jackson, and Alshon Jeffrey, which they've just done. Maybe seeing if you can get some restructures from Lane Johnson and Brandon Brooks. And then finally, of course, parting ways with Derek Barnett. What about you guys? How do you feel about this? Do you want the Eagles to go about their salary cap this way? Let me know in the comment section down below. From myself, Liam Jenkins, thank you for watching this video. I hope this helps. I'll see you soon.